teenagers are less mature than adults, but I don't reckon brain performance is that much of a difference though, because you can get some teenagers that are a lot smarter than adults.
Teenagers have a much more sort of optimistic view, I think. Adults I think they tend to be quite pessimistic about the future. Because I think it'd be quite cool to sort of see us on different planets and stuff, whereas adults tend to think, well, actually that's not really going to happen that quickly or within their lifetime. But younger children or teenagers tend to have quite wild dreams and think that anything's possible.
Teenagers better.
Yeah. We're more innovative and we can do technology better. We can do technology better. We can use technology better even.
Well, we've got the problem now of defining what do we mean by adult, but let's look at teenagers. If we go back not even a century past, the term teenager didn't actually exist. It's a relatively newish term, and it means, I guess, those between the ages of teens, 13s up to 19, 20, teenagers. But given that birth can be given at a much earlier age, 12, 10, 12, 14 in both male and female, does that make them adults? I don't know. It's a tricky one now to define a difference if you look at it physiologically. If you look at it psychologically, then I suppose most people will come down the line of saying something like experience, perhaps, knowledge, experience, ability, how one uses the brain. But then again, if you look at brain in the sense of its formation, its maturity, perhaps the brain hasn't matured in general till mid-20s, so is that the time when people become adults? It's a difficult one. I don't know that there is actually a main difference that I would necessarily like to plump for.
Adults have seen it all, and teenagers think they've seen it all, but not necessarily have. But teenagers are kind of belittled a bit by some adults. I think they should be heard a bit more, in society. They should have more of a word, anything like that. Even though it's not always right. But then again, adults aren't always as right as they think they are. So, no disrespect.
I think teenagers are probably more open to new ideas.
Yeah.
They strive to learn, I guess. I mean, I'm not saying
more innovating as well.
Yeah.
They're more ready to try new things, I think, and experiment with life.
Yeah, ask questions, things like that. I'm not scared to ask questions.
Yeah.
It's the number of synapses, isn't it? I think that's what it is. Also, there's the cerebral cortex and all that, how developed it is, how different parts of the brain link up, connect.
I think a teenager is the stage between child and adult where you're in a prototype stage where everything's going wrong, puberty's hit, hormones, brain changing, you're just a mess. And so
physically and hormonally and mentally, everything.
So you think that suddenly everything changes and you think you should have everything should be given to you, you're special, you're the best. And it's brilliant. It means
knowing everything.
Yeah, you know everything. You're the most creative you'll ever be in your life, I think, because you're just such a mess, and you don't see the world, your perception on the world. And I think that's what changes teenagers from adults, which is crazy. And when you're old and when you're young, you want to be this age, this teenage age, even though it's the worst. You'll be the most depressed you'll ever be. You'll be the most angry you'll ever be. You'll be the most unhappy and just with what you've got. But it's the most fun because you don't want to be. You're either young and innocent and ignorant, or you're old and you know too much and you can't do what you can't have any fun. You can't have any fun. You've got responsibility. So it's that stage of no responsibility where,
And if you do find yourself a bit sorted at some point during your adolescent life, you feel a bit left out and everyone else sort of weeping every 5 minutes, you're like, oh no.
Maybe I should. I feel content with my life. I have to do something about it.